Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 12th and final round.
Right hand, Golovkin steps in and down he goes again. Unbelievable. Mayweather makes him pay. What a rookie mistake. A sensational left hook by De La Hoya.
It's fact. I'm the best. You know what I mean? Sometimes I don't want to believe it myself, but it's the truth. I'm the best. I'm going to show you how great I am.
From Southern California, this is the Last Round Podcast.
Episode 24 of TLR. I said LTR last week, and nobody caught it. At least our guest and my co-host Mike, who is not here this weekend. So to our UK listeners, I apologize because I know he brings you guys in. Maybe I bring you guys in. I don't know. But subbing in for Mike is a SoCal native. He's not from across the pond. He's actually from sunny Southern California. He's one of the best boxing photographers in the game at the moment. He's shot for a variety of different media outlets. He's done some recent work the last few months for PBC, TGB, Fox Cards. He's been all over the place out here. He's shot places in Vegas, Mexico, Los Angeles, all over the place. I think even Arizona, right?
Arizona and Texas.
So Luis Mejia, you're here. You were here before, but you just weren't on the mic. You weren't behind the mic. Oh. And Andy was, but this time you're behind the mic. So Luis Mejia, welcome.
What's up? Yeah, last time I was behind the scenes with my camera.
Yeah, he was behind so he's been here twice? He's been here twice. The first time he brought performance coach Andy Aguilar, who's the performance coach for Leo Santa Cruz, Jaime Munguia, Ivan Redcatch, right? Guys like that. And then the second time you were here just taking photos of us behind the scenes. But now you're behind the mic. 3 times in a row, man. What the hell?
Right. Third time's the charm.
Mike better watch out that you don't take his spot. So he's actually in Vegas. This weekend for a UFC card. So, if that bothers some of you boxing fans, you can give it to him on Twitter. So, because he's also a UFC fan, which is cool. I'm cool with it. But there's some boxing fans out there. They're just like, I don't know, you MMA fans. I'm not really too fond of you. But he'll be back next week. The UK Mike will be back next week. But Luis, as I mentioned, is my co-host this week. So I appreciate that. Thanks for subbing in, like I said. So we'll jump right into it. This past Saturday, March 2nd, from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, another SHOWTIME, the latest SHOWTIME card, headlined by Erislandy Lara and Lara-Castano. We'll start with heavyweight matchup. Luis Ortiz, one of the most dangerous fighters in division, gets the unanimous decision win over Christian Hammer, who I thought was related to, what's her name? Christina Hammer?
Lady Hammer?
Lady Hammer? Yeah. When I saw that name, we were going over that fight last week. I was like, wait a minute, what? But I was like, oh, it's Christian Hammer. I was like, are they related? I don't think they are. I didn't look it up. It would have
been pretty cool though, right?
It would have been pretty cool. I was like, dang, that's insane. But Ortiz gets the unanimous decision win over Christian Hammer, and he actually had a tough time in the fight. I don't know. Were you able to catch that card?
Yeah, I caught a little bit of it. I noticed that Hammer was actually hitting him pretty good, and it looked like he gave him some trouble.
Yeah. And then I saw the fight. I saw that card. And even I was following. I usually follow when I'm following the fights on Twitter. I follow the fights on Twitter, and people were saying, Ortiz is kind of taking some punishment. He's an older guy, but he's still dangerous. He's a southpaw. He's got that Cuban style, but he he's been knocking guys out. He's obviously a knockout guy. He's powerful, and this went to a decision. He had Hammer, I think, hurt in the second round. But he even said after the fight that it was actually tougher than he thought. There was a quote that I saw where he said that the fight wasn't what I was expecting. It was a hard fight, and my corner really had to work with me. It was a hard fight. So even I think he acknowledged, he's like, damn, this is hard. does that affect his chances? Like, or do you think? Because sometimes people will say like, oh, like sometimes the most dangerous fighters they'll take it easy, so they can try to entice the bigger names to get in the ring with him. So they'll purposely do it.
Kind of like playing possum, right?
Yeah.
Like let me look bad so that way,
Yeah. So that way, like fight. The other big heavyweights like Anthony Joshua, Wilder, Fury are just like, oh, maybe he's declining. Maybe I should take this fight now because Ortiz like he's dangerous. He's a dangerous fight, and there's a lot of people who don't want to fight him because he doesn't have the star recognition that a Tyson Fury has, that a Deontay Wilder, that an Anthony Joshua does. So it's high risk, low reward in a sense.
And it's funny because it actually reminds me of the first Triple G versus Canelo.
That makes sense.
Because Triple G came on strong, and a lot of people said, hey, Triple G won that fight. The second fight, he looked aged.
Yeah.
A lot of people were saying, hey, you know what? He looks aged. He looks like age caught up to him. And this seems similar.
Yeah. So
Ortiz looks.
I mean, that's the first thing everybody was assuming. He is an older guy. I mean, there is that whole thing with Cuban fighters coming over, and we don't really know their age. People make jokes about Luis Ortiz, like, man, this guy's really like 50, and he's still going. But they're saying he's like 39, 40. But who knows? Who knows? Like, I mean, he said it was a tough fight. I mean, I could believe it, but or maybe they're just playing possum, like you said, because he's been trying to. I mean, he got Wilder in there, which props to Wilder.
Right.
He lost to Wilder, but he hurt Wilder, and Ortiz still looked good in that fight, to the point where he's like, okay, that showed other heavyweights in the division, like, hey, he's still a dangerous guy in this division, even though he lost.
And the other thing is, on the Wilder, the Wilder fight versus Ortiz, I've heard a lot of people say that if the referee wouldn't have gotten in the way, Luis Ortiz would have finished him.
Right.
So it makes you think, it makes you wonder, like, what he may be aged, he may be older, but what would have happened? Where would he be at right now had that not happened?
Right.
What if he would have taken him out?
Absolutely. I mean? So, I mean, it'd be a whole different ball game in the heavyweight division if he would have took him out.
Right.
But, it is what it is. He still got the win, so that still keeps him in the mix.
They're going to have to go back to the drawing board. They're going to have to really figure out what it was, if it was his diet, his conditioning, his strength and conditioning. I mean, what it actually was.
Or maybe Hammer was just...
maybe it was just heavier.
Maybe just heavier, or
his punches were landing, maybe they were just taking more out of him, more, because if you really look at it, Wilder wasn't really working them. He wasn't really working the body. He wasn't really boxing him.
Yeah, because Wilder's not really like a boxer. He's more like a...
He's more of a, I'm going to swing my bat and hit you.
Yeah, he's more just a home run hitter, and he just connects.
Right.
That's what it is. I mean, but it works for him. So that's the thing. Like, people talk smack about him, saying, oh, Wilder has no footwork. His technique sucks.
Right.
Honestly, does it really matter? I mean, he's got this far already, and it's obviously working for him. He's been the world champion for like 4 years now. Like,
and it's going to be one of those things where it's like, what happens when you get a really technical fighter? It's going to be like, where everybody else says, oh, he got exposed. Maybe not that he got exposed. It's just the fact that...
What do you think about that when people say that? Like, oh, that he got exposed, this and that. I mean...
Well, I think that a lot of the fighters lose the fight before they get in.
The mental,
because... when you go in there with Wilder, you already know he's going to be swinging a bat.
Yeah.
He you know his style. His style has always been, with Bermain Stiver, I think his name is, right?
Yeah. He just fought. He got killed.
Yeah. When he went in there with him, it was just, he was swinging for the fences.
Yeah, like he knew it. He's like, I'm just going to take this guy out.
So you don't really get that the ring experience, or you don't get to see that side of Wilder if he does have it. Because look what happened with Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury showed some boxing technique, and it really showed. Mm-hmm. That's when you really say, "Holy crap!" Like, you know what? Maybe Wilder is not everything he's played out to be. Because look what happened.
Right.
Everybody. I mean, I don't want to say everybody, but the majority of what I saw on social media was Tyson won that fight, and I think he won the fight just based on the amount of tech, you know, the.
Do you think he won it by wide scores, or was it close? Was it clear, but was it close but definitive, or was it close but still up for debate?
No, it was close but definitive, I think, because just because he knocked him down once, to me that's not really
right.
You can't really say like, oh, you know what, that was a deciding factor of the whole fight,
right?
Because there's been other fighters that have been knocked down, they get back up and they still win.
That's
you
true.
Know what I mean, so in this situation, I would have been happy with the, I mean, how could I say it? I wasn't really happy with the draw, but I was like, you know what? Hey, I rather it's like when you go to TJ, a draw is a win from what everybody was telling me. With certain fighters out there, if you're fighting from over here, you go to Mexico, a draw is like a win,
right?
And a lot of people saw it that way. So therefore, I'm like, hey, it is what it is. It's boxing.
What's a recent draw where both fighters still came out strong? Would it be Canelo Triple G? Like at least a high profile one?
Oh yeah, I mean a lot of people saw it controversial, but it's usually the Facebook people or the social media people. The
shout out to the social media,
right? The social media professionals.
Yeah,
because they don't really see boxing for what it is. It's a lot more than just I'm going to swing and punch and hit you.
Yeah,
it's a lot of coming forward, running, or it's who's keeping the pace of the fight. Connections, and you know what I mean. So a lot of people say, you know what, this person won it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's at the end of the day, it's in a sense the public who loses. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
they're gonna run it again. They usually run it again anyways, and nobody really loses in the end because eventually you get the fight that you want.
Yeah, I mean, it there's ways to get the fight that you want,
right,
even if you don't get it as quickly. That's why there's some fighters who
Pacquiao Mayweather.
Well, yeah, I mean they were just superstars. They can make money with anybody, so that's why that one was difficult. Like they really didn't have to fight each other if they didn't didn't want. They made a ton of money with anybody else. But I'm talking about like for guys like Ortiz, trying to work his way up the rankings and stuff, where he's like designated as like the mandatory, or he's high up in the rankings in these sanctioning bodies. That's how some fighters sometimes have to get fights. They're like, okay, well, I can't really get it with my name because I
think it's like Joe Joyce, right? Joe Joyce.
Yeah.
It was the same thing. He was supposed to fight Joshua or somebody a while back, and they didn't give him the fight until now. Finally, now it's getting to the point where now it's a mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I get it. Some people they don't have that weight, and a lot of these fighters they don't want to take that risk.
Right.
So, and sometimes it's not even the fighter; it's the management. 'Cause the managers they don't want to see their fighter. They don't want to see the risk.
Mm-hmm.
They rather, let's fight this guy and we'll get the win. So
where does Ortiz go from here?
I would say get another fight, get another maybe like a tune-up fight. Something.
You think so?
Yeah, because he's gonna have to look spectacular.
I don't know, man. He's like we just talked about. He's older. Does he really have the time? I mean, okay. Wilder is likely going to fight Brazil.
Right.
That's what they're talking about. Joshua's already penciled in against Miller in June. Fury doesn't have a fight yet, but he just signed that deal with Top Rank and ESPN, and they're probably going to give him like a showcase fight in the States somewhere,
right?
To just introduce him on the ESPN platform. So business wise, I understand. So Ortiz can what? Povetkin? Like I don't know. Povetkin's dangerous. There's Joseph Parker, who was the former WBO heavyweight champ, but he lost it to Anthony Joshua. I don't know.
It's going to have to be somebody close to whoever he wants to fight. Like you were saying, I got a brain fart. But
Joe Joyce to Joseph Parker.
Yeah, there you go. It's going to have to be something like that because nobody's going to want to see it.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a moneymaker. Nobody's going to want to see it. It's going to be kind of like Vanna's
Triple G.
You know what I mean? It's like, do you really want to see that fight?
Right.
Nobody, I don't, I was kind of like, I didn't like that at all.
No, I get it. But, it is difficult. It does suck because, Ortiz is obviously dangerous. maybe he's not dangerous after this past Saturday. I don't know, but you know, he just doesn't have the star power that you know, Fury, Joshua, Wilder have. Like I mentioned earlier, high risk, low reward. Right. So I mean, you can still get paid with that guy. Like, you know, I know Wilder made it. You know, obviously he's making good money. He made a good money with Ortiz and everything. But you know, at the end, like you said, at the end of the day, it's, you know, it's a business.
Right.
So obviously, a Fury Wilder fight, Fury Joshua, Wilder Joshua is going to make a ton of money more than Wilder Ortiz Joshua. I mean, I don't know. They're all still going to make money.
Right.
But there's tipping scales here. There's tipping scales. So,
and what I see nowadays, it's more of like, it seems like fighters are more willing to fight for more money versus the proper fight, in my opinion.
Makes sense.
Where it's more of like, kind of like what I think what De La Hoya says about Mayweather, the Mayweather era, where it's not about who you fight, it's how much money you can make. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, you know, like, look how long it took him to fight Pacquiao.
That's true.
So, you know, you kind of...
I think it's all, but it's all like the television age and, you know, the streaming age, and then like, you know, the 2000s especially is when it blew up in terms of money, because even De La Hoya was making a ton of money when he was fighting, and he fought some dangerous guys. He got some losses, Trinidad, you know, some whatever, you know, Hopkins and stuff like that. But like even De La Hoya was still making a ton of money, and in terms of the money for Mayweather hit that scene at the perfect time, because HBO had just come out with the 24/7 documentary series that they did, which is still my all-time favorite. You know, I'm pissed HBO's gone, because their presentations were legit. But Mayweather used that platform to sell his personality, his gimmick. And that just pushed him up. Because I mean, like, if Mayweather didn't have that personality, he was just kind of like, I mean, it's true. That's how the game works. Whether it's MMA, boxing, even in any type of sport, technically, when you have some type of personality and you can back it up, Conor
McGregor.
Yeah, that's gonna skyrocket you. That's gonna skyrocket you. And Mayweather knew that. I mean, like, when he jumped into, I think a year or two after he beat De La Hoya, and I think he fought Hatton or something, he was retired for a little bit. He went to WWE, and he did like the WrestleMania and all that stuff. That just increased his profile. Increased his profile to another series of fans and more people. He got all this attention, and then he came back and he made a ton of more money. Like, you know, it's the personality wise, and like, you know, and I get it. There's fighters out there like, oh no, I'm not like that. Just go in there and do my thing, which is fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
And that's actually kind of...
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, like, you know, you can't be complaining about money, like, oh, I should be getting paid more and stuff. Like, well, you got to look at the landscape. All the highest paid guys have some type of personality. I mean, or they just have something, that X factor. Like a Canelo. He's a Mexican. He's Mexican, but he's got pale skin, red hair. He's a good-looking guy. He's been like at the superstar level since he was like 19, 20 years old. He fought Mayweather when he was only 22, and he's gotten better with each fight. And like
and see, you know what I think won it for him?
And Triple G played off of that. Like, Triple G was always good, and he was knocking guys out, which worked for him. But when his name started getting mentioned around Canelo, then people started to know who he was.
Yeah, because a lot of people didn't even know who he was.
A lot of people didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
But you had to find that rival. It's just like Mayweather-Pacquiao. They became bigger because they had the rivalry.
Right.
Triple G became bigger when Canelo's name, his name started getting mentioned around Canelo.
If you remember, though, it wasn't exactly Canelo, though. It started with Jacobs.
That's true.
That's when it started.
That's true.
But it only...
And Jacobs was with Golden Boy initially.
Yeah, it only shook it up a little bit. After that fight, then people were... Because nobody knew who Triple G was.
Right.
And then he fought Jacobs, and then people started talking smack.
Yeah.
They started saying, "Oh, what would happen?" All of a sudden, he fights Jacobs, and people thought he lost.
That's true.
So that was a talking point for everybody, because they were saying Triple G is not invincible.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, like, right after that, the first Canelo Triple G fight was. And I mean,
But
people,
that was why.
and people talked about that. People were like, "Oh, did that make Canelo and Golden Boy like, oh, you know what? I think he's losing it. I think now is the perfect time to jump in."
Right, and that's what we're talking about being exposed.
Yeah,
because they said that Jacobs exposed Triple G.
Did that just happen to Ortiz?
Right.
Now we're coming back around here.
Right.
Now we're coming all the way back, because we were going off on a tangent, but now we're back because we're relaying it back to Ortiz. How we're just saying, did he get exposed? Is it proper to use that term? Is it proper at all to use that term?
Well, styles, like they say, styles make fights. Sometimes you look at Ramirez versus Cepeda.
That's true.
That styles make fights.
That's true.
Everybody from the social media stuff, I heard a lot of people say, "Oh, Ramirez is going to take him out. Ramirez is going to knock him out."
Yeah, he's the bigger name. He was a champion, and people know. I get it.
And I was like, you know what? No, I don't see that. So. I don't see that.
Yeah.
And I honestly think.
And he's a little biased. You're in Zepeda's camp.
No, and that's
but I agree with you. Because you told us about Zepeda and everything, and I've seen some stuff, and me and Mike scored it for Zepeda.
Right, and so did I. And
I understand.
And I was looking at it from a different perspective because not only I'm at the end of the day, I'm still a boxing fan as I am a photographer. So I sometimes when I shoot fights, sometimes I shoot for. Sometimes I shoot for Supreme. Sometimes, I shoot for the fighters.
Yeah.
So when I shoot for Supreme, I can't be biased.
Right.
I can't shoot, I'm going to shoot more of this fighter than this one.
Mm-hmm.
I got to shoot for both.
Right.
You know what I mean? I got to get the shot.
Right.
But when I do shoot for a fighter, obviously I want that fighter to win.
Right.
When I shot Jose Gonzalez versus Ivan Delgado,
mm-hmm.
those are technically both my fighters.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually was hoping it was going to be a draw.
Yeah,
I felt like crap. I was like, man, how am I going to shoot for, this fight and one of my guys loses?
Right.
And it actually worked out.
It worked out.
Yeah, it worked out.
It worked out, so it didn't have to affect you that much.
Right.
But like we said, going back to Ortiz, some people are going to say he got exposed. I saw some people talking about it like that on Twitter, at least. But it could work out in his favor. I mean, he could probably get one of the other big. I mean, he got Wilder in the ring already. Right. I mean, he could probably try to get a Fury in there or something. They could look at him now oh, you know what? Maybe he's not invincible. Yeah, he's losing it. Now's the perfect time. So in a way, it could help out in his favor. And I mean, hopefully he's not losing it because I like the guy.
I like him too.
I like the guy.
I was actually surprised when he fought Wilder.
So, hopefully he's not on the decline. But Father Time always catches up. Everybody knows that. But at least
visit the doctor.
Yeah, but at least he could probably at least the positive out of this situation of him. He won the fight unanimous decision, but he said it was a tough fight. He didn't look as dominant. He didn't stop the guy. The positive out of this is that maybe he can get another big heavyweight championship fight because they could look at him like we said and say,
look at him like a piece of meat.
And
say, you know what?
And then he can get it. He can get a good payday, and then if he wants to be like, you know what, I'm out. I got 2 solid, big heavyweight championship fights, Wilder, and I got Fury or Joshua or whatever.
And you never know; he might even be able to get 2 of them.
Yeah,
because if he fights one, and even if he still loses, and if he looks good, or if he looks okay, one of the other guys might say, you know what, I'll fight him. Yeah, and until they make the mega fight, another mega fight. That's what I say.
So we'll see how it pans out for Ortiz. But like I said, he did mention that he had a tough time. He had a tough time in that fight. So, but he did get the decision win. So we'll see where he goes from there. But I'm just glad the heavyweight landscape is shaping up pretty good. Nice, yeah. So we got some good action, some good fighters out there. So, and then moving on also on that Showtime card to the main event. Erislandy Lara, former 154 world titleist, and Lara-Castano fight to a split draw. So they each had a score of 115, 113 on 2 respective judges' scorecards. And the third one, which is Harold Letterman's daughter, Julie Letterman. So for people out there who should know who Harold Letterman is, at least in the States, he was the unofficial the unofficial judge for HBO boxing for years, since the 80s, maybe. Long time. his daughter is actually a boxing judge. So Julie Letterman, she had it 114. So obviously it was a split draw. I saw some different scores across social media that said, I had it for Lara, I had it for Castano. So it was a close fight.
Mm-hmm.
But did you catch that fight?
I didn't catch the fight, but I did catch a lot of the social media. You know how it is. Everybody starts talking and yelling, and But I heard that a lot of people were saying that it was kind of like it's kind of becoming the norm. There's a lot of people saying that, man, how long are we going to keep doing this? Calling draws like this.
It's true.
I was surprised. I was like, yeah. I mean, we've been seeing it kind of consistently.
I mean, yeah. It's true, but I mean, what else are we going to complain about?
Right.
Do people want to complain that, okay, this was a draw, I'm sick of seeing all these draws? Or do you want to, and we're not talking about underwear here. That's not what we're talking about. But, people are saying, I'm sick of seeing all these draw scorecards, these drawers. But, or are they gonna complain if it's too wide? Oh, that was a robbery. Whatever. Social media gives you the platform to give your opinion.
Right.
Whether it's relevant or not. So it doesn't matter, freedom of speech. Thanks, the Constitution.
They're going to eventually bring back, instant replay.
Hey, man, you never know. You never know. I mean, it's getting there. I mean, NBA, the National Basketball Association over here in the States added like a third replay guy or referee and who's always in New York for every single game. Like, they can go back and check it out there, and then whatever, they can talk to the referees on the court. So, Major League Baseball added some stuff for replays and stuff like that. You never know. It could happen in boxing, especially. I mean,
and if it does, I said it first.
Yeah, TLR.
There's been times where you see, it's not a low blow, and then they say, they fall to the ground like it's a low blow, but it's just because he got hit really hard in the solar plex or somewhere close.
Yeah,
and they go down and they cry like that they got hit with a low blow.
Right.
And, everybody's like, oh, everybody's talking smack. And then all of a sudden they see the replay and they're like, oh, but they've already taken the point.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of, sometimes it's not fair, but we'll see.
And what I was surprised, though, I mean, yeah, it was a split draw and whatever. And both fighters were interviewed after and said, oh, I think I won the fight, or I think I won the fight, and whatever. I think one of the biggest things for me that I took out of this fight was that Lara threw the most punches he's ever thrown in any fight. And Lara's not a high output puncher kind of guy. Right. He's very slick. I think he's a southpaw, right? I think he's a slick southpaw, with the Cuban style.
Or like Canelo said, he was running.
I guess. I mean, Lara's slick. He's right. Cuban.
He moves a lot. He
does his thing. So I like the guy. But Lara threw 825 punches.
Damn, just about 200 or a little bit more.
A little less than 1,000, and that's a lot.
That's Leo Santa Cruz punching right there.
I mean, that's getting in the territory, but
right, yeah.
Leo always at least hits 1,000.
Right.
But Lara connected on 130 of 825 total punches for this fight.
Wow.
Which is 16%. He connected on 27 of 524 jabs for 5%, which is
that's
pretty
low.
Weak.
Yeah.
And his power shots were actually pretty solid, which honestly was probably what helped him get the draw. He connected on 103 of 301, 34%.
Wow.
Castano connected on 195 total of 863 for 23%, 14 of 195 for jab, 7%, and 182 of 668 power shots for 27%. So they were all, sporadic with all these punches all across the board. So, I mean, Lara's jabs were just pathetic. 5%. I mean, for the type of fighter he
exactly,
is,
yeah.
5%, 27 to 524, like you don't expect that from a fighter like him.
That's undercard punching.
That for him, no. But I mean, hey, he had a tough time. But both, Castano was trying, essentially pressuring him like Jarrett Hurd did.
Right.
Because when Lara fought Jarrett Hurd, it was a competitive fight. But Hurd is just a freaking tank. He's a freaking tank, and he just kept going forward and forward and forward against Lara, and Lara was still landing his shots, but I think eventually the stamina just got too much for Lara,
Right.
and Hurd just, it didn't matter what you hit him with, he just kept coming forward, and his shots seemed to be getting stronger and stronger. And I think Castano was trying to do something similar, kept relentless pressure in a sense.
Right.
I mean, he's not a Hurd.
He's not a Jared.
But
Hurd,
but
so.
it worked out in his favor because he was kind of, you know. But
essentially, that's probably what got him the draw.
Yeah,
I mean, you know
I think it is. I think it is. So, you know, it worked out. But I mean, you know, we'll see. 154 pounds is you know, is a good division right now.
Right.
There's some pretty solid names in there. You know, Lara obviously.
What do you think? What do you think about Lara? Where do you think he's going? Do you think he's going to be up there?
Man, well, we can. You know what? We can even go back to the whole like poor performance exposure thing here, like with Ortiz and with Lara for both of these fights. Because okay, Lara, the last time Lara was in the ring was against. Was it Hurd? Or am I wrong?
I'm not sure.
Let me look it up. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up right now. Hold on. Erislandy. There it is. I think it was Hurd, if I'm not mistaken, because I mean that fight against Hurd, it was in Vegas. I think it was at the Mandalay Bay. Maybe I'm wrong, but it was. Yeah, it was just under a year ago. Jarrett Hurd, yeah, April 7th, 2018. That was the last time Lara was in the ring. So just under a year, 10 months that he got back into the ring, essentially.
Yeah, because you know,
and that was a split decision too.
Yeah, because a fighter like that, I mean, that's been out for that long. It's he's not like a tank where he can take the year off and come back, and he still has that power.
Right.
He still has that fame, I guess you could call it. So that's why I asked, because the last time I remember hearing about Lara was when he fought Canelo, when he was saying that he was running, and
right.
I didn't really see him do much. You know, it wasn't a fighter that I can say, you know what, you know, I understand the caliber of Canelo, but at the same time, like, come on, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to do something. You know what I mean? You can't just,
right.
You know, especially against, you know, Castano. I mean, you would think like a fighter that people say, you know, like Lara, they categorize them kind of close to the Canelos and stuff like that. You would think he would have done a lot better.
Yeah. So it was split draw, and then I forgot to mention this was for the WBA super welterweight title, which, you know what, we touch on this every week. I'm going back to this now, but I think every single show we essentially, at least for the last several weeks, we always come to this topic of these title belts, man. Because I think Hurd is the super welterweight champion.
Gold, silver,
yeah,
right. It's like,
and because I think this was for the regular belt,
right,
and. Oh my God! Now I'm back on that topic again. You know, with these regular WBA champions, and it's just like, oh, you're the super champion. You know, and it just sounds funny, especially when it's
right.
like, especially when the division is called. Well, you can call it either junior middleweight or super welterweight, but a lot of people call it super welterweight. Like, oh, right. You know, it just sounds weird. Like, oh, you're the WBA super welterweight, like come on, man, like
super duper almost, right?
Like come on, man, like you know, get out of here with that.
It's a belt, it's, you know, yeah.
I mean, whatever, you know, when you're a fighter, and even if you get a belt and it's a recognized world title, whatever, that's cool. I mean, it is what it is, but it's just like, you know, as a fan, just watching, you know,
right,
as a media, you know, correspondent, it's just kind of like, come on, man, like.
It's probably just for an incentive, you know. You give a fighter an incentive to get a super middleweight bout, you know. I mean, maybe they try harder. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. There's always a business behind it. You want to get those sanctioning fees
and everything.
So, you know, it is what it is. But where does Lara go from here? Where does Castano go from here? We're talking about Lara because he's a bigger name, but this was a draw. I mean, yeah, Lara might have the more options, because you kind of have to relate it, like, look at when Adrian Broner fought Jesse Vargas.
Right.
They fought to a draw. Who does Broner fight next? He fought Pacquiao. Who did Vargas fight next? Like, you know, because Broner is a bigger name.
Right.
So, you know, that's how that's going to work. Lara's likely going to get, I mean, they could rematch. Who knows? They could rematch, but.
Because, I mean, that to me, that's To me, that's kind of like what should have happened with Jacobs and Triple G.
Yeah.
The fans were saying, Jacobs beat him. Okay, so why come back and fight Canelo?
Mm-hmm.
Why not bring it back and redeem himself? Redeem himself with Jacobs, and if he beats Jacobs, then you go on to Canelo.
Right.
So now with this, Lara and Castano, bring it back. You know what I mean? Bring it back, let them fight, and whoever wins, then you can go. Because if you get these two guys and you move them forward somewhere, they didn't finish their business previously. So why allow that? Why do that?
Right.
Because me as a fan, it's not enticing for me. I'm not gonna want to watch somebody. I'm not gonna want to watch either one of them fight somebody because I'm gonna be like, well, dude, they never finished what they started.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that to me, I would say just bring it back.
I honestly think I honestly think they'll bring it back, but it won't be a main event fight.
Oh, of course.
I mean, honestly, I don't know. They drew the announced attendance was like 7,000 at that Barclays Center in Brooklyn, which was actually crazy.
But I don't think it was because of them. I think it was more because of Ortiz.
Well, I mean, Lara and Ortiz are both Cuban.
So
I mean,
there you go. I mean, that alone right there.
Well,
tells me
yeah.
It's an Ortiz fan base because Lara hasn't fought in you said a year, right? I mean,
well, just yeah.
It's like,
I mean, no, I wouldn't call it an Ortiz fan base. I mean, like, they're both not. I get what you're saying. But
yeah, because Ortiz has that little bit of that steam coming from the
Wilder fight.
From the Wilder fight.
So okay, so in that regard, I can see it. I understand what you're saying.
You kind of ruffle the fans, and you know what? Luis Ortiz is going to fight,
right?
But also Erislandy Lara,
right?
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like piggybacking off him. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I mean, I don't know. I think Lara's gonna try to still get in the ring with somebody like a world title holder or a bigger name. Because he did say after the fight, he's like, "Look, I'll rematch Castano. I'll get hurt again." He's pretty much saying like, "I'm still in it. Like I'm still in it. Don't count me out. Don't count me out." So, did he get exposed? Did him and Ortiz? Let's go back to this. Let's just give it one word answer. Did they get exposed? Which I don't like using that, but you brought it up, so I'm asking you.
In Lara's case, I don't think it's about being exposed. It's just about he didn't expose his greatness. Like he didn't bring something to the table. Like, you know what I mean? It's like Broner. He came in talking all that smack, got beat, and said he won. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like really. So from my perspective, Lara didn't come in and showcase something.
Right.
He fell short of the victory. So in a sense, he was evenly matched. Right. So you know what I mean. So I don't. In that case, I don't see it as exposed. In Ortiz's favor, or not in his favor, but in regards to Ortiz, I just think that Hammer fought him more technical. Yeah. Hammer used his weight. Hammer used his body punches. Right. So he actually boxed him versus Wilder because you got to remember Ortiz is a big dude. So he's carrying all that weight around. And if you're not punching him in the body, he's going to have that extra gas tank. Right. So the fact that Wilder wasn't body punching him as much. Yeah. That to me says, okay, you know what? He didn't expel all his gas. He didn't run out of fuel. Right. Because Wilder was just trying to knock his head off. Yeah. So I just think that if Wilder were to fight him like that, use his weight, hit him in the body, I think he'll probably take him out even faster. Right. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. I mean, you got, it's a good thing to be a heavyweight right now. It's a good moment, good time to be a heavyweight boxer right now. And then, it's a good time to be a 154 pounder. Lara, you got Hurd, you got Munguia, Kell Brook, Jesse Vargas just moved up. They just announced his fight at 154 pounds, and they've been saying that him and Kell Brook might square off later in the year, but we'll see. So 154 pounds is a pretty solid division right now. Right. So, all these divisions are just getting stacked with talent right now. So we'll see. We'll see where Lara goes. He fights to the split draw. Castano retains the WBA belt. And
or like I said, Ortiz gets the unanimous decision win, hard fought unanimous decision win. So, their stock really, or I think Ortiz's stock was affected a little bit more, but
right.
We'll see where it goes from there. I think they'll still be okay in terms of being able to secure some good paydays.
Right, but the fact that it's a stacked weight class,
that's true.
They might just fade away. You know what I mean? Lara and Castano might just fade away.
You never know. Boxing does that to some people.
Yeah.
Just fade you away. Then moving on. Also this past weekend, the latest DAZN card, DAZN. It's not DAZN, people. I've had some people. Hey, you watch that DAZN stuff?
DAZN?
Nah, it's DAZN. Hey, but I understand though, because like you look at it and you're just like, how do you say that?
Right.
You have to hear somebody say it, or you have to see it like, phonetically spelled, with the grammatical stuff.
Right.
So I understand, but I think it's just funny though. But it just kind of bugs me sometimes. It's DAZN. So
I think it was just an executive guy trying to look street, try
probably
to be street.
I believe it. We're gonna find out.
Right?
We're gonna find out,
Yeah.
and we're gonna find out from our industry sources, which is a funny word that people have been talking about the last couple of weeks. The word sources, but I'm not gonna go down a path. But it's funny how people were like, oh, sources. Right. So, but I get it. It happens. But like I said, the latest DAZN card from across the pond in Peterborough. So, of course, I don't have my my partner Mike from the UK here. He's all about the UK scene, which is great. But I get it. He gets homesick sometimes, so he starts watching UK boxing. Then he comes here and he talks about it and he throws it in there. So, Mike, this is for you, talking about the UK card. Friend of the show. I don't know if you listened to our one of our earlier shows, but we had Anthony Sims Jr. who called in for one as a guest several months ago. He's Floyd Mayweather's cousin, and he just got signed by DAZN sometime late last year. He was on that card. He stopped Mateo Damian Vernon in the 6th round, which was, the 24-year-old Sims just, it wasn't a competition at all.
Just battered him.
Yeah, pretty much. Sims is a big kid. He fights at light heavyweight. I think at light heavyweight. I hope I'm not wrong, because sometimes, it is light heavyweight. But he's known as the Magician. But like I said, stopped him in the 6th round. It was just an easy night for him. And if you're listening to this, Anthony, you got to come back on the show. But this time you got to come in studio, because last time he called because some stuff, logistics, traffic in LA gets everybody, and that's what happened. So, but congratulations to Anthony Sims Jr. for getting the win. They got some big plans for him over there, Eddie Hearn and DAZN.
Oh, yeah.
They got some big plans for him. And also on that card, Jordan Gill also destroys Emmanuel Dominguez in 3 rounds. This was half of Sims' fight. This stopped him in 3 rounds. And this was for the vacant WBA International Featherweight title. Jordan Gill 23-0 with 7 KOs. Just blasted Emmanuel Dominguez. He dominated from the first round, and then just began to, it was just no contest. We thought Sims Jr.'s fight was just, an explosive win. This was even worse, or good. What would you call it? Worse or good? I don't know. It's an interchangeable description. But DAZN, man, just busting out the cards. Are you a subscriber?
Yep.
What?
Yeah.
See, hear that, people? We got a subscriber here. We got 2 subscribers. Actually, we got 3. Mike 2, but he's just not here. I'm telling you, DAZN's putting it out. DAZN's putting out the cards right now, and it's not just boxing. It's MMA, and then they're trying to jump into non-sports stuff, but they're focusing more on sports at the moment.
Well, they have the market. If you really think about it, where is everything going? Look at what the Fire Stick started. The Fire Stick started, people were live streaming fights already.
The Amazon Fire Stick, right?
Yeah. So you know what I mean. It's only like I think it's one of those things where if you can't beat them, join them.
Right.
You know, and why not make it accessible to watch all these fights? Because you're gonna get the money back regardless. Because do you pay $50, $60 for one pay-per-view fight, or do you charge 50 people $10?
Right.
You know what I mean? So
that's true.
And
you got to think about it like that. Yeah, it's true. Especially in the day of the streaming age.
And more people, if you look at it the way it works, you're most likely you sign up for that, you're gonna forget it.
Right.
And it's $10, so you're gonna be like, who cares?
That's true.
I'll go watch a fight, past fight or something, and you forget about it. And more you
convenience.
Convenience. You get more viewers, different, at different ages, different categories, because you got youngsters.
Yeah. 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds. Like, I'm gonna watch my boxing.
Right.
I get it.
You got different age groups, different demographics that, they're able to all catch the fight. And you don't have to be at home.
On-demand content.
Right. And you don't have to be home. You can be in the airport. You can be anywhere.
On-demand content. And I get it. Because, and I get it. Some people are like, they still try like illegally streaming and stuff. Right. And it's just like, man, I mean, like, come on, man. Like, they're charging you $10. You're going to be able to watch Joshua fights, Canelo fights for $10 right now. Like $9.99. It's a lot better than paying $80, $90, $100 for pay-per-view fights. And you're still going to stream it illegally? Like, come on, man. Like, they got to make some money too. We got to help them out. Like $10, it's nothing. Nothing. I mean, it is. I'll take that back. It's a lot to some people. Like, I understand the struggle. I get it. But
you got 10 guys at $1, $1 each. Come on. You know what I mean? Like, hey.
Yeah, man. And throw in $1.
You're right.
Invite them over to your house, throw in $1.
Yeah.
Whatever. Or bring some beer or something. I mean, the beers probably cost more than the freaking fight.
A pack of cigarettes cost more,
So,
come on.
Whatever, man. So, but like I said, don't illegally stream anything. Not in boxing at least, because this is why these pay-per-view prices are so high all the time.
Right.
Like, in the UK, they're like, what, $20, $25? I think they're like around there, like, Joshua fights and stuff, like pay-per-view fights, $25 or something like that. Or 25 pounds.
Well, what's
25 pounds. I'm wrong, not dollars.
Well, that's where those streams come from. I don't know if you know that, though.
What?
From the UK.
What comes? What?
Like when you see somebody's live streaming, haven't you?
Oh, that's true.
Haven't you noticed?
You can see the VPN is the UK.
Yeah,
man,
it's hilarious.
So hey, they're doing the work over there. So I get it. Well, because sometimes it's blocked.
Right.
Like certain things are blocked in certain countries, so they try to get around it. And I'm just like, oh man, if you're like, if you can't even watch it legally and it's just blocked or something for some reason for some territory thing, like
South Korea, I guess. Right?
Yeah, or something. And if you're gonna stream it illegally, I don't want to endorse it. But if they're blocking you, like you still want to watch it, I don't know, whatever. But going down quickly on that card, the undercard, WBA Intercontinental Cruiserweight Champion Richard. Oh man, I don't know how to pronounce his name. That's why I need Mike sometimes here, because he knows how to pronounce these crazy names. Because every time I get to his crazy names, I throw it back to him like, you're pronouncing this stuff. Richard Riakporhe. Riakporhe. I know I said that wrong, and I apologize. But I
got nothing for that.
Yeah. I didn't expect you to have anything. He improves to 9-0 with 8 KOs as he stops Tommy McCarthy, who's 13-2 now in 4 rounds. Here's another one. Dang, I'm going to mess this one up too. Qais Ashfaq. Yeah, I messed that one up. He gets the 6-round decision over Fadhil Mejia in a featherweight bout. So 60-54. That's a quick one. Super middleweight. John Dochir. Oh man, I heard his name and I forgot it. But he improves to 4-0, 4 KOs as he puts away in only 2 rounds Yaelton Neves, who's 4-14.
Damn.
So he's had 18 fights. He's won 4 of them. He's lost 14. So that was a showcase fight,
right?
But it happens. It's the business. Bradley Smith, also on that card, that DAZN card, wins a 4-round decision over Oscar Amador, 10-12. He's in that Gabriel Rosado territory. In a junior welterweight contest, Kieran Conway, 10-0, 3 KOs, wins an 8-round decision over Gabor Borbix. It's a middleweight fight. Lightweight Zoltan Zarbak wins the 6th-round decision over Lester Caltiano. This is even crazier. This guy's 4-25. So he's had 29 fights. He's only won 4 of them. He's lost 25. Sometimes that's more. Just looking at that's more entertaining.
Right.
And then wrapping up that card, Lee Wood. I think it's Lee. I'm probably wrong again. Improves to 21-1 with 11 KOs in a featherweight bout as he stops Abraham Bonsu in 2 rounds for the vacant Commonwealth title. So there you go, Mike. You're welcome. I went through the whole card. I mean, we go through all the cards anyways. But, he did text me a couple hours before. Don't forget the UK card.
The UK card.
I know. I remember, Mike. I remember. So that way he can't yell at me next week. Because if I would have forgot, he would have just laid into me. And he would have done it on air, too. He would have done it on air. So he's like that. And then previewing really quick, Shawn Porter and Ugas this weekend.
Saturday.
On Fox, or is it Showtime? What is it? Hold on. I'm gonna check the press email. I think it's Fox. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I'm trying to remember because I think I seen something for Showtime.
It is Fox. In your face, Luis. In your face. It's on Fox. So Shawn Porter puts up his WBC welterweight world championship against Yoredenis. I can never pronounce his first name. Yoredenis Ugas. I think this is an interesting fight. I know Ugas doesn't have the name recognition that Porter has and, all the other welterweights, but I think it's an interesting fight.
I think it's going to be a great fight.
I think it's an interesting fight. I like it. You know what? I like Porter, but for some reason, I think Ugas is going to surprise people.
Right. It's kind of like the Leo.
But, I don't know, man. It's a tough one.
It's kind of like the Leo Rivera fight.
Yeah, I think they're sleeping on Ugas.
Yeah.
I think people are sleeping on Ugas, man. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to go with the safe bet and go Porter here. I think he's going to retain his title. I think.
Right. Yeah, I see that.
Well, what do you think?
Yeah, I see that. But, like I said, I think it's going to be one of those Leo versus Rivera fight because, people who don't know boxing are going to say, oh, Shawn Porter's going to wipe him out or whatever. But, people who know boxing are going to, probably agree with us and say, you know what, it's going to be a great fight. You can't count him out because you never know.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, that's the thing. It's just, I don't know, man. Because I've been looking at this the last couple of days. I'm just like, I don't know. Yeah. I think Porter's going to have a tough time. Because I think Ugas is Cuban. What is he? Hold on. So. I'm going to look it up right now. Live. Well, we're not live technically. Couple hour delay. Ugas is somebody's yelling at. If you're yelling at the radio or yelling at your phone right now, I'm sorry, but I want to make sure I'm accurate here. I just want to make sure I'm accurate. He is. Oh my God, I spelled it wrong. I'm just gonna go with Cuban.
He's Cuban.
It's Cuban. See, in your face, listeners who are yelling at me. I just wanted to be accurate. That's why I wanted to be accurate. So it's going to be an exciting card. That's this Saturday from the Dignity Health Sports Park.
AKA StubHub.
It's just nasty to say that. This is a StubHub Center. So for our fans internationally, the StubHub is like the war grounds out here in Southern California. So it's I hate that new name, Dignity Health Sports Park. It just doesn't roll off the tongue. It's either going to be the StubHub Center or the Home Depot Center to me.
Right.
It's always going to be that. So, I'm going Porter. I'm going Porter by decision. And then Porter should probably get a pretty solid name next. I mean, he's a champion. So either way, he's going to do good. But, I think he's going to get one of the bigger welterweights.
Yeah, I think that's what they're doing. And it's a good move because, it's going to be a tough fight for him.
Yeah. So
he's going to have to showcase something. And, if he does look really good, I'm pretty sure he's going to get a big name.
Yeah. So that's going to be a fun card. I'm looking forward to that one. Shawn Porter, Ugas, this Saturday on Fox from the StubHub Center out here in Southern California. And this Friday, actually, March 8th, another DAZN card. I told you, it never stops. Daniel Scardina versus Henry Kekalanian. Oh, man. See, I'm messing it up. Vicia Travato versus Erica Cruz Hernandez. So this is in Milan, Italy. So Italy coming up in the boxing world. There's a women's fight. The women's fight is for the vacant WBC silver title at 126. And then the welterweight fight. There's also a welterweight fight between Maxim Prodan and Steve Jamoya for an IBF trinket title. That's one of Mike's favorite words, trinket. He uses that a lot. And on ESPN Plus, also on this Friday, Daniel Dubois versus Razvan.
Is it Dubois?
It is Dubois. It is Dubois. That's right. Because I know somebody who spells it like that, and they say Dubois. But it is. I think this one is Dubois. Liam Williams versus Joe Melender. Johnny Garton versus Chris Jenkins. Anthony Yardy, who's trying to go after Kovalev. He's been talking about Kovalev. Anthony Yardy versus Travis Reeves. That's on ESPN Plus this weekend. And like I said, Ugas Porter. That's probably the most prominent fight this weekend, obviously. And there's also another DAZN card on Saturday. Dimitri Bivol.
Oh, yeah.
Light heavyweight world champion versus Joe Smith. And also on that card, Mo Hooker versus Michael Lespierre, Callum Johnson, Sean Monahan. So DAZN, Fox. DAZN's got 2 cards this weekend. And then you got the Fox card on Showtime, which is actually, Thurman and Pacquiao and those guys, like, they do well on Fox and stuff like that. Or at least Thurman does. But,
right.
Bivol's coming in too. I like Bivol too. I've interviewed him before. I think he's one of the strongest ones at light heavyweight. So I'm going Bivol because I think Joe Smith is done.
Right.
I'm going Ugas.
You're going Ugas?
You know what? I'm getting torn.
I'm like, what?
In my own mind, I'm getting torn here. In my own mind, I'm getting torn here. I was going Porter. Oh my gosh. I go Ugas. All right, you tell me. Where should I go? I'm giving it to you as a guest host. Who should I go?
I would say business-wise, Porter.
All right.
But fan-wise, I would say it can go either way.
All right, I'm going Porter. If you're wrong, I'm going to shout you out next week. Throw it in your face.
Right?
Throw it in your face. But, thanks.
I should be right.
Yeah. You should be. I hope so.
I should be right.
I hope so. If you're not, we're not friends anymore. So it's over.
Right.
But, wrapping up the show here, Luis, once again, thanks for coming by.
Thanks for
subbing in for Mike, who's in Vegas, probably messed up right now. He probably doesn't even get it. So he's like, text me when it's over. I was like, you'll probably be asleep, probably. So, but before we end the show, plug your stuff, man. Plug wherever everybody can follow you and check out your stuff.
You can check my stuff out at Al Mejia Photography on Instagram. On Twitter, I'm ODWHEELMAN. So it's OD Wheelman. That's something from back in the day.
Hey, man, whatever fits.
And also look out for Combat Sports Collective. It's a little thing we're kind of
plug it, man. Plug
organizing, me and my team. We're trying to bring something into the boxing and trying to hopefully maybe we can change the game a bit,
Yeah. So you up and coming fighters or any type of fighter, they're like a management team that they try to offer you everything to get your career moving. Photography, media, training, all that stuff, right? Strength and conditioning. Yeah. It's a whole package. So it's like you buy like a package for like television, right. DirecTV, you get all those channels. It's kind of like that, right?
Right.
You kind of have it all in one spot.
Yeah.
So
and it's great because we have a lot of support from many avenues. We have sources.
Yeah. There you go.
Like you were saying.
There you go, man.
Different sources. We gotta, because we come to help. We come to try to make the sport better. Try to bring up, the name of boxing, kind of change the name, the way people speak about it. And also, one thing I do want to plug is women's boxing.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it's coming up, man.
It's coming up, and the way I see it is they bang, man. They bang. They sometimes they fight better than the men.
Yep.
They leave it all in there.
It's coming, man. It's coming. And you guys got some pretty good female fighters on the team right now who be on the lookout for
especially Ayana Verduzco.
There you go.
Right Hook Roxy. Her and her mom were trying to go to 2020 Olympics.
2020. I think they're gonna make it, man. And she's gonna be on the show. 17 years old, trying to just fighting her butt off right now. She'll be on the show soon. 17 years old, so she'll jump on as a guest. So we'll look forward to that. But like I said, follow Luis at Combat Sports Collective, El Mejia Photography. He's one of the best photographers in the game. So, and you'll see his stuff for years to come. So he's got some great shots. So once again, I'm Danny Z. For Mike Shepard, who's probably passed out somewhere in Las Vegas right now.
On top of a roof
somewhere.
With the tattoo
at
on his
the
face.
Aria Mandalay Bay somewhere. But he'll be back next week. He'll probably be all messed up. But
Come on with the tattoo on his face.
Yeah, Mike Tyson style. Right. So, but like I said, for Michael Shepard, for Danny Z, for Luis Mejia, my co-host this week, this is the last round.
Thanks for supporting and listening to the show. Follow us at The Last Round 12 on social media. Rate, review, and subscribe.